Okay, welcome back. Again, I want to thank our supporting sponsor, Maloney Funeral Homes, Karen. Maloney Funeral Homes, 100-plus-year-old company, 7 locations, their own crematory. They've been a big supporter of the show, and I felt obliged and proud to mention them on these segments.
And their spirituality center that they also have as well.
See that? I didn't know that.
Yes.
All right, fantastic. Thank you again, Maloney Funeral Homes. Today's guest with us today is Christopher Ryon, the village and the Port Jeff village historian. Which
correct.
I will tell you, most people don't even know an historian exists. Most people don't.
And most people confuse me with the Historical Society.
Yes.
So we work very well together.
Okay.
But I'm the municipal historian. So
Okay.
all villages and towns have to have a municipal historian.
Okay.
You know, for someone who documents, I document a lot. That's what I do for a living. I like to document. I always have. Thank God people like you exist, because without you,
Yeah.
you know, you probably have stories of people that go, I don't need this. They throw it out. It's gone forever. And it probably drives you nuts. I know it. I knew it.
Sure.
I didn't even know this, but I knew it.
Of course, yeah.
But that's your job, to preserve history.
Right. And to reach out to everybody and say, hey, look in your closet.
Right.
And people don't think that something might have value.
Right.
And there might be buildings in it, and it might be just a family photo, but, sometimes it's a piece of a puzzle that we've been looking for a long time.
Wow.
So awesome.
Wow.
Currently now, and I think through April, there is a map exposition that you are the curator for.
Yes.
And the word curation means that you have taken time to put these maps together, and I saw it in order, actually, of the time period those maps existed.
Right.
Absolutely stunning, because I always liked geography when I was a kid in school. That was really my favorite subject.
Okay.
But what's amazing, Karen, is you go into the 1800s with these maps. By the way, tell us about the oldest map you have displayed there. And by the way, this is at the Village
Village
Center.
The village center.
Second floor.
That's right. So the oldest map of Port Jefferson that we have is an 1858 chase map it's really of Suffolk County, but it's highly detailed. So we are able to, all this stuff is digitized, and we're able to blow it up. So we have taken pieces of it and put it all around, because you just can't absorb the whole thing. Even
Right.
though it's, about 3 feet by 3 feet, you still
Wow.
can't see it. So there are insets for Port Jefferson, Stony Brook, and Sag Harbor.
Okay.
And there are pictures and there are agricultural statistics inside in the map itself.
Okay. Wow.
This is 1858, you said?
Yeah.
So this is like 60 years before my grandfather was born, just to give you an idea. And I'm saying to myself, the only way I can map is with a drone. How the heck were maps done in 1858?
Well, very careful measuring.
So on the ground
Survey,
measuring.
Of course, yeah.
So they would go to the shore and go, hey, Joe, this is a mile and a half.
The funny ones, some of the really old
Because
maps.
some aren't accurate, right?
Well, if you look at some of the really old maps and the Dutch maps and stuff like that, and Long Island just has this really weird shape, and you look at it, you go, well, it's fat, or it's too thin, or it's twisted in the wrong direction, and then you think, well, what were they doing? They were just
They were trying.
They were just sailing around it, and it's different.
What map is your favorite, or maybe most rare, or most interesting?
Well, that 1858 map, I think, is the one that we really want to go into even more. And now, we're a digital archive, so we, digitize things, and we can use Photoshop. So I really want to take that map, and they have chopped Suffolk County into 2 parts. All right, so we can take that in Photoshop now and just
Merge the two
together. I want to get rid of all the other stuff, because it is just a beautiful map by itself. And kind of separate that and blow it up, and that's probably the next thing that we're going to do. I don't know if we're going to do it for the. We don't have time to do it for the show, but it's something that needs to be done.
What's interesting about the older maps is, correct me if I'm wrong, Nassau County didn't exist till what year? You don't see the word Nassau
Yeah,
County
right.
in
Yeah,
some of the earlier
yeah, I'm
maps.
not sure exactly what the
And
date
it's
is.
almost like Queens was larger, right?
Yeah, there were quite a few changes, and then towns too. You look at that map, and Hermitage, where's that, and Fireplace, and these are just words that the towns that you just don't hear about.
Right.
But
Yeah,
Sag
kinda-
Harbor seems to be there from the beginning.
Right. Well, now why?
The whaling? Whaling?
Sag Harbor, it takes in this 1858 map, the largest inset is Sag Harbor. And it makes sense because we were in the whaling.
Right.
That's
There
why.
was a
Whaling and near
industry.
Montauk.
Right.
And then this was the shipbuilding.
And this was all
Harbor.
shipbuilding, yes. It
So this
never
was
whaling.
well documented.
There were 2 whalers that were made here, but, there were over 500 ships, large ships that were made in Port Jefferson from about 18, just
When
before
men were men.
1800. And then in 1917, we had the World War I, and then the government bought everything up, and we went to steel production, merchant ships and stuff like that.
And then that's when it kind of fell by the
And
wayside.
then, that was it. That was a couple of tugboats, I think, were made after that, and.
So that's what's interesting. The map is, it can show you, I mean, we all have visual history, but this is a different types of history. I'm very intrigued by it.
Well, I mean, you like maps.
I love
Are you a
maps.
map person, too? So there are map people and there are not
map
map
people.
people. So
I'm more of a photograph kind
So
of
I would
girl.
buy the Hagstrom map and
Right.
study that. I would. I don't know why.
do you think it's more of a guy thing?
No,
is
it
that
goes
fair to
back to
say?
my early love of geography.
Right.
I think. In school, I particularly remember 3rd and 4th grade not being particularly interested in anything but fooling around and geography.
Yeah. Well, I remember when I think I was about 4 years old, and I had a nana, somebody who was taking care of my grandmother, and she spoiled me, and she bought this huge National Geographic globe. Though it had a light inside of it.
Intriguing.
It was this big, and one of these giant atlases, and I just, would just
You gravitated towards it.
you just hover over it, and you feel like you're in control of your situation.
That's what it was.
It's a psychological thing, I think. Just getting in close.
There's a lot of Austin Powers things going on here
Yeah.
today. You were dominating the world back then.
I think so. I thought about why am I so, and lots of people are so intrigued by maps.
Yeah.
But back to people who are not so crazy about maps, we added a lot of pictures and human interest stuff.
Right.
Right.
And because Sue Orfici, who works with me, said, not everybody is as crazy about maps as you are. And I said, fair enough. So we kind of peppered the show with some other stuff
Okay.
in there too.
So is it called an exposition?
It was a show.
It's a show. So this
Just
map
call it a
show runs till when for our audience?
through this. Where are we? March, April, through April,
Okay.
Through the end of April?
through the end of April.
Now, can people get printouts of any map they see?
Well, if we have the rights to it, and many of them we do, we had a huge. Ken Brady donated a tremendous amount of stuff of his collection in there to
Wow.
the village, and those things we own, and we can print them up. We have a 44-inch printer, and we just charge basic paper and ink.
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
very very good
But
price.
this is also intriguing that an entity or person can own rights to a map. They're not owning the rights to the map; they're owning rights to the actual physical art.
Now you're
I know,
getting in.
yeah, because I know this
This
part
is a
of
gray
law too.
area.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
a gray area, right? So you've got time, how old it is. You've got people who are claiming they have the original negative. You have, it's
gray.
It's gray.
You understand what I
It's
mean,
gray.
right?
Yes.
I mean, how can you own the rights to the fact, and I do mean fact, that Port Jefferson is here and Sag Harbor's there? That's a fact.
Right.
However, if the map is ornate in nature, there's an artwork aspect to it. And that's probably part of what we're talking about.
Right. Yeah.
And then who knows if it's archived? I don't know. It's very interesting. I mean, Google Maps is copyrighted.
Right. We also have to be very respectful of somebody who comes
Right.
in. If somebody comes in with a picture and says, I found this, and this has been in my family for a long
Absolutely,
time.
absolutely.
And we know that we have 3 other copies of it, but that person, if we showed that, if we did something with that picture, we would always, contact that person.
Right.
Because
Right.
they feel it's theirs, even though we know maybe it's around, there's a lot of people.
Right,
And then it becomes
right.
blurred.
How do you feel about digital art? Because I always feel like when you have these very rare pieces, whether it be art or photographs,
Right.
that when you put it and blow it up and put it on the wall, it somehow speaks more than
Absolutely.
just sitting on a computer, oh, next. You know what I mean? So I think
Absolutely, because we can take a gray map, a brown map, and brighten it up and enlarge it in Photoshop. Of course, Photoshop is just this absolutely fantastic tool. and the example I want to give you is we have these Sanborn fire insurance maps. Sounds pretty boring, right? But they're really nice looking. But they have absolutely they're chopped up. So Port Jefferson is chopped up into 9 pieces. on 4 sheets of paper
Okay.
with no regard to orientation or direction
Right.
or where they connect. So we've taken, and I said, this is, these are great. They're full of information. They tell you where water wells, the fire wells are. They tell you where the structures, they tell you if paint or
Very cool.
coal was stored in there. It's all about insurance, or if the watchman was on duty. So I was able to take those and put it in Photoshop and take those 9 pieces and stitch them together the right way. Now, they're all not absolutely contiguous, but we've just put them in and now you can actually understand without going back and forth and back and forth. Because
Right, between the
yeah.
pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was some newspaper clippings that are adjoining some of these maps. Do you ever do shows that are just newspaper clippings?
Well, actually, this is the first show.
Okay.
So we didn't have a village historian for a while, and what happened was that the village center got
Those were the
Yeah.
dark ages.
well, no, just for I think about a year and a half. or
That's pretty
so.
dark.
Yeah, and what happened was now they booked the shows up in the village center. So I'm like, when I came in, I said, "All right, I want to do a show, right?" And they're like, "Well, you got to wait.
You gotta wait.
You got to wait." So this is actually my first opportunity.
Oh, it's your first?
Yeah,
Okay.
To
Congratulations.
to put in there.
I think
And-
you picked a
Yeah.
good one.
And so when did you start in your position?
I think about 2 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Was
was
Ken Brady
the
before that?
Poquat, and I still am the Poquat village historian.
Okay,
So I
okay.
started off as that, and I worked
Okay.
with Ken for a long time.
Okay.
Also doing a lot of we do a lot of Photoshop work. We do a lot of
Okay.
It's a digital archive.
Yeah. It
is
We
a
don't
digital
have
archive.
room for the
Yeah,
pictures.
to keep everything, right.
In fact, when we take the show down, all of a sudden we got to find space for it or a place,
Right.
Right.
a place to put it. And we
Right.
have
Right.
large map files and stuff.
Right.
But we're packed.
Who's the photographer S. Green? I always see his name on old
Arthur
photos.
Green.
Oh, Arthur Green.
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah. Well, he was the most famous photographer of around the turn of the century of Port Jefferson, and he just documented everything. And
He did.
his photographs are really the backbone.
I mean, today you have
of the
Instagram.
collection.
You would look back 100 years from now, if Instagram is still alive and Facebook hasn't
Yeah.
tanked.
You know what's funny though, right? We don't have a lot of information after the First World War. We
Correct.
have these tremendous green photographs and people who took pictures of ships and really took their time. And then after World War I, we don't have a lot of pictures.
Why?
of
Because
that.
he died?
I don't know. I mean, we could theorize like maybe
His wife told him to stay in the house.
did
Don't
the-
take any more pictures.
When did the brownies come
That's
out?
what happened.
When did those brownies come out? The little cameras that you could take. And maybe that's it. Are they?
Oh,
so,
and do it
we
yourself.
don't have a lot of pictures from the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s. We
didn't
don't
know that.
have a lot of that. And we have a lot of maps from those eras.
Do you call out, because that was an interesting point. These residents all around here have pictures. They're in storage.
Right.
Do you make a call out to the residents every
We do.
night?
I'm working on a pamphlet right now, which
You
is
probably have
based
stuff.
because
Right.
we don't take your pictures. We just say, can we scan them? Mm-hmm. So we put them on the scanner, and then we put them in the archive, and then we give you back your pictures, and then they become. And of course,
That's
we can
great.
give you the digital
Right.
copy of it too. So
right.
That's
now
awesome.
you can send it to your cousins and your whatever. It becomes a digital copy, and then we can manipulate it. We can take a picture this big and make it huge, and we find things. You get on Photoshop and you blow something up, and you're like, hey, there's somebody in the window there.
Right.
Oh, wait a minute. There's we've actually
Wait, that guy's pickpocketing somebody.
yeah.
It could happen.
And a lot of these old negatives are very high, fine grain, and we can get into them in Photoshop
'Cause
and
it's real
just-
film.
You go right into, they were silver emulsions and stuff like that. You can,
Okay.
you can go right into the buildings. It's really amazing. A
It
lot
is
of stuff
amazing.
was found out because, we put it in Photoshop and we started to look
It's
at
awesome.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good, right? It's
Yeah.
good. Tell Phil
I-
about
I
this. He'll
wanna
like
go-
it.
I wanna
He's a
go
guy,
and
so
see the
he'll like
maps.
maps. You just go with him and see if you
No,
like
I
it.
do. I want to go and see the maps.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing this
Thanks.
with us. We're sharing it with the village, the community. This show will be on the second floor of the Village Center. That's the big red building. I always try to overemphasize where this is, right in the harbor, right on the harbor.
Harborfront Park.
Through April 30th. And it's called, what is the actual show called? You haven't come up with a name. I'll help you.
We did. Well,
Maps of
actually,
Port
actually, Sue Orphy, she works with me. She came up with it, and I can't tell you exactly what it's.
Okay.
It's Port Jeff from above.
But it is Long Island maps.
Yeah, it's
True.
it's mostly Port Jefferson, and then Long Island. We have 23 Long Island maps in sequential
Wow.
order.
Sequential year
They
order.
go right down the old
Wow.
girder. You know, this building is an old shipyard building. They have a huge girder, and
Yeah.
we put them. That's probably 50 feet, 23 maps in order
All in
of
order.
Long Island. Yep.
And they're all framed, I guess?
No,
or-
no,
No,
we put them
they're
on
backboarded.
Yeah, we put them on foam board.
Foam
Oh,
board.
Foam
okay.
board. But it's kind
Okay.
of fun
Very
to walk up
interesting.
and down.
Yeah.
You know, Long Island. You know what's interesting? You can see the old inlet by Bellport was opened. You know, when you go back, you know, go down in time, and you can see that at one time it was open,
Okay.
and the breach just happened
It
again.
happened again with Sandy,
the
right?
hurricane. I
Oh,
think This
wow.
was Sandy, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
very cool. It's a nice history. It's a nice show. Thank you for sharing this with us.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
so much, Christopher.
Okay.
Thank you.